We're live. Tired. Was watching the Belgium versus what's the Netherlands, New Zealand game late last night, but also was doing a whole lot of sleeping in between, and then got up because I was sleeping so much. Got up at 1 a.m. and then it was up to about 3, and then went back to bed and got up around 7. So it has been an eventful night, so to speak. But I'm here, and my name is Kira, and I am one of the co-founders of Wite Collar. And Wite Collar is an online skills building platform that connects you to mentors, aka skills builders, where one-on-one mentorship can occur through the application. It's a mobile application. And sorry, only things I hate about summer is bugs and gnats and little things that like to come out when there's fruit around. But anyway, I digress. So I've been talking a lot about this on our feed, and it is my belief that we're in a silent epidemic when it comes to unemployment. A lot of people are dealing with, excuse me, a lot of people are dealing with long-term unemployment. Can't talk to her now. Hold on a second, sorry. A lot of people are dealing with long-term unemployment because the economy sucks. The economy is really, really bad right now because there's so many people that are laid off, and I mean I'm talking about mass layoffs, like thousands, tens of thousands of people have been laid off. The market is definitely more competitive. And then the jobs that are being created for a period of time, it had been extremely low. And so the demand is high, but the surplus of jobs is very low. And this has contributed to people being unemployed for probably like 6 months or longer, sometimes years. And I don't know, I've experienced unemployment back in 2025, and I can tell you for a fact, and that was my first time I experienced unemployment ever. 20-something years of a career, and my first time being laid off was in 2025. And it is, what they pay you every week is nominal. It's barely livable with this high cost of living, and they only give you 12 weeks of unemployment. So after that 12 weeks, after you've used that benefit, if you do get a job and you get unemployed again, you cannot use that benefit if it's within the same year. If you don't get a job, you're just screwed. Like you just and 12 weeks was probably a lot back when the economy was really good and jobs were plentiful, and it was an employee-centered market right after the world opened up after the pandemic. It was an employee-centered market. Every employer was desperately seeking employees because so many had left, and it was a mass exodus out of the workforce during COVID. And so employees got the run of the gamut, could negotiate, could get whatever they wanted, right? But now it has shifted to an employer-centered market. And now employees are beholden to employers and have to chuck and jive to get jobs, and then also take way below what they normally would take for compensation, because they've been unemployed for so long, they're desperate, right? I've heard of employees going through multiple rounds of interviews, you know, and still not get the job. And, you know, when you're going through that type of rejection on top of financial difficulties because unemployment, the employment that you're getting paid for is just not is not enough to cover your bills, or is on the verge of running out, that could really take a toll on your mental health. And and it's just getting worse because the layoffs are continuing to happen. More people are being exposed to this volatile job market, and the creation of jobs is not cannot keep up with the amount of people being let go. So it's a really bad job market out there. And so the premise of what I am coming online to talk about, and just give me a second, because child, I got so much going on, I done forgot. Hold on a second. So the premise of what I'm talking about is, I want to say the subject line, because listen, it's just me in the video, guarding yourself against unemployment and underemployment in this AI-driven economy. That is the premise of what we're on here to talk about. How do you guard yourself against unemployment and underemployment in this AI-driven economy? So, as I said, right now it's an employer-centered market. Employers know that they could get employees for pennies because people who are unemployed looking for jobs have been unemployed for a very long time and are desperate for jobs. They are desperate just to get some income coming in that's beyond $300 a week. I mean, that's because of, oh boy, what he decided to do during his first term, where instead of people being compensated, I think it used to be like 60%. It was way back then, like early 2000s. It used to be you got compensated a percentage, and it might have been different for every state of your salary. He changed it to where it was during COVID. He changed it to where it was a flat rate, right? So regardless of what you used to make, you're only going to get $300 every week, which is not livable. I don't even know if $300 can cover maybe one or two expenses, maybe 2 weeks worth of groceries. I don't know. It can't cover much when you look at people's, because think about this, people's expenses have gone up significantly. People are probably were probably living while they were employed, were probably living according to what their income was, right? So the more income you make, the more things you get, the more expenses you have. And so when your job gets taken from you, you know, that's a huge jump. Say, for example, if you're making $100,000 to go to $300 a week, because your bills don't go down too. So people get desperate. People take jobs even though they know that it's better than $300 a week, but it's still not going to be a livable wage to truly cover their expenses long term. And I actually want to show you guys a video that kind of talks about this. So let me set this up for you. And in case anybody wants to also come in the room. And you know, sometimes I get people, sometimes I don't. It's not like a huge deal to me. I actually don't mind talking to myself. Maybe that's the only child thing. but I'm going to look for the video. And by the way, White Collar is on YouTube. So we are on YouTube, FYI. So if you ever want to come check us out, it's the same thing. It is, it's the same name on Substack as it is on YouTube. So I'm trying to find the video, y'all, about where someone was basically kind of like talking about the state of the job market. And I don't, okay, maybe this is it. Okay. Bear with me, y'all. I'm trying to find the video that I was watching where basically a girl was like talking about just how bad things were. And it was a couple of videos I actually watched. And one of the videos, this is not what I was looking for. One of the videos, a guy was saying that this is part of the grand plan or grand design for companies where they they're saying, everybody's saying AI is why people are having a hard time finding jobs, because a lot of jobs are being replaced by AI. And one of the guys I was watching on YouTube was saying that he does see that point, right? That AI is replacing, and I think it's replacing a lot of entry-level jobs, but that he thinks that, and he wasn't the only one who had this sentiment, that he thinks that a lot of jobs are being done away with so that people can increase their bottom line, companies can increase their bottom line. And that AI, even if they're getting rid of the jobs for quote unquote AI, that they will eventually end up hiring people back. But by the time they hire people, when they do decide to hire people back, that the game of it all is that they'll hire people back for way less than what they were making before. So pennies to the dollar, right? They're quote unquote saying they're replacing people with AI, but the real game of this all is to have to get rid of those, grandfather people, or people, those tenured people that have been there for a while, that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, to bring in entry level people or hire overseas to get people that are pennies to the dollar to do those jobs. Because AI is not perfected in a way that could really replace people. So they're pretending that they're, going to, or they may be using AI to some capacity, but not enough to the capacity that they could really replace all these people. And so their real goal is to get cheap labor. That's what he was saying, which I could definitely see that. It's hard to, so I'm going to play a little bit of a video that I found. It's not the exact video that I was looking for, but this is basically someone who is having a difficult time. She was a content creator. She lost her job. Well, she was a content creator, then she went back into the workforce for the stability of employment. And then she ended up getting laid off. So she was able to, I think, only enjoy the job for a short period of time before she was laid off. She was in marketing. And she was just kind of talking about her experience and other people's experiences with finding employment in this job market. So let me see if I can see where I am at. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, let me cancel this. So I'm queuing up the videos. It's probably better for me to do it on this end. So this is us on YouTube. I'm trying to see if I can find the video for you guys because I had it on another site. Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna share again, sorry. Share. All right, we in business, y'all. We in business. So I'm gonna restart it to where it was before. Trying to see. I don't know why it's glitchy. I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop right there. Um, that's just a nice little snippet that even went into what I was going to talk about, what the solutions are, right? So it went into, now jobs are screening applicants with AI, and um, by doing that, they may be eliminating erroneously a lot of good candidates. And then what I also heard was that this system that they're using to screen out, I think it was called the ATS or whatever system that they were mentioning. You can look back at it, the replay. But the system that they're using to that is AI based, that they're using to screen applicants, is widely used across multiple other big box employers. And so if you're screened out, so it's used across the board. So if you're screened out by one employer through using that same AI database or same AI screening process, that your information is stored in a database. So any jobs that you apply to that are not even with that employer, but they use the same screening tool, you're basically going to be screened out for those jobs too. So no, and you don't, this is crazy, right? Like and not only are you screened out for those other jobs that have, that are unrelated, that just happen to use the same technology. But I think they said you're screened out, and that will continue to happen. You'll continue to get those rejections for like 330 days or something ridiculous, almost a year. You'll continue to have that happen. Um, once AI picks up on certain identifying information of you and they realize you've applied to another job before with that same AI screening technology, automatic rejection for any other jobs. And you just don't know what jobs are using that technology, right? But you kind of know because the rejection comes right away. Like it doesn't even, if you're applying enough, you'll start to see the pattern, because it's like there's no way a human screened this resume or this application, because the rejection came back way too soon or way too quickly. So yeah, it's like you're being discriminated against almost, or you have an unfair disadvantage, right? Because you're just applying, you have no idea about the odds that are against you. And so that's why you're seeing so many people do hundreds of applications and they go nowhere, because they don't realize that this AI screen technology is being used against them. Or there's the other alternative, which is that people are getting callbacks for jobs, and it's not going anywhere. They're getting callbacks, they're having to do multiple interviews. Sometimes they have to do homework that they have to submit in order to be considered for a job. And after 4 or 5 interviews, still getting rejected. I don't know what is worse. I don't know if it's to go through that long interview process and still get rejected, or it's better to get rejected right out the gate. I don't know. To no fault of your own, to get rejected right out the gate and continue to get rejected, not knowing that, or not realizing AI technology is what has to do with it. But I don't know which is worse. And it's just really, really bad out there. And so she kind of went into it. I think her name is Ashley Devonna, Devonna. She has some really good videos on YouTube, where she talks about her experience going from content creation to employment, and now being the result of a layoff, of a restructuring. And her videos are very comforting, I think, for anyone that is going through that long-term unemployment um, journey. And she beautifully went into all the things that you can do, or all the things that are being done to remain AI and layoff proof, right? You know, you got to look at options such as a portfolio career. And, you know, we did a blog post on portfolio career, and basically what portfolio career is having, you know, multiple streams of income based off of, you know, whether, you know, including your main job, side hustle, um, then you can have your investment portfolio, have some investments also, 401k, or maybe some investment in some or companies, organizations, um, you know, or startups. But, you know, you have a combination of different, you diversify your income, you have a combination of different income streams. Maybe you're also an affiliate, um, or a brand ambassador, and you make money from that. Brand ambassador is more so, you know, is not paid usually. So brand ambassador, you know, you're wearing all the paraphernalia. Um, Sometimes you're paid, sometimes you're not, and you're just kind of touting and promoting that company. And then affiliate is where you're actually getting money and compensation for referrals that you make to the company. And so doing all these different things, right? And no, sometimes you do make money with as a brand ambassador. It's just not always. Sometimes you just get free stuff, or free trips or things of that matter. It's not always liquid cash flow. But by doing all these different things, you create multiple streams of income. And so that way, if you lose your main job, you can fall back on, you know, what your side hustle was. So with Ashley on YouTube, she fell back to doing content creation. She was still doing the content creation while she was in corporate America as a marketing specialist. But she wasn't obviously able to dedicate all her time to it like she was before. But it never fell off, and so she was naturally able to get back into swing of things once she lost her full-time employment. And she went to getting full-time employment because she says content creation can be very volatile, and the money can be funny. And she found herself getting so inundated with everything that went into content creation, and that she just decided she needs something more, you know, she just needs to take a break, and she needs something with more stability. And so that's what she's doing. And then I think she's also looking to pivot into helping startups with their marketing, you know, having a marketing strategy. So she's pivoting, she's flexible, and that's what you have to be in this market. You have to be flexible. So how you guard yourself in this volatile job market against AI layoffs is you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to have, instead of just one main job, multiple streams of income as an insurance policy for yourself, so that if you lose one, you have 7 others or 5 others to rely on if you lose one stream. You know, I think she also mentioned, what else did she mention? She mentioned portfolio career, which is what I was talking about just earlier. And I think what I got from her story is the power of the pivot, being willing to pivot. You know, if your side hustle or your passion project or your business isn't working and is not producing livable income, then you need to look at pivoting to something else. You have to be willing to switch it up when it stops working, because certain things, sometimes there are slow periods in your business that you're going to have a steady income coming in. And how I see it is that main income or steady income is your silent business partner. So that employer is your silent business partner. So as you're trying to build your business or your side hustle, so it turns into a business, you use your silent business partner's income, part of that funding, um, to uh, to help fund your business at the same time as pay your bills, your personal bills. So those are all things to think about. But you definitely cannot rely, and I'm almost at time, you cannot rely on one job or one stream of income in this economy. Um, as you can see, people are getting laid off left, right, and center. I think the last layoff I saw was, it wasn't Oracle, but it was another company. I was like, wow, they're laying people off. Um, but it's happened to the best of companies, and it's not profit driven. It's not because they're not. In her particular case, Ashley she making